You're with Kronos. We don't just tell history, we take you there. Tonight, we walk through the streets of Constantinople on May 28, 1453. Tomorrow, everything ends. But the people filling the churches, lighting candles, holding their children, they don't know that yet. Or maybe they do, and that's what makes tonight unbearable. Here's the question that will haunt this entire night. If you knew your world was ending in 12 hours, how would you spend them? The answer is simpler and stranger than you imagine. You would pray. You would hold the people you love. You would stand on the walls and look out at the siege lines that have surrounded your city for 53 days, and you would wonder if God has forgotten you. You would do what the Romans have always done. You would endure. Because this is still Rome. Not the Rome of the Colosseum or the Forum, that Rome fell 1,000 years ago. This is the Rome that survived. The Rome that became Christian, that moved east, that built Hagia Sophia and preserved everything the West forgot during its dark centuries. This is the city that has stood for 1,123 years. The largest city in Christendom. The Queen of Cities. Constantinople. Tonight is its last night. You stand on the Theodosian walls as the sun sets. These walls are the reason Constantinople has survived this long. They are the most sophisticated fortification system in the medieval world. A triple line of defense stretching 4 miles from the Golden Horn to the Sea of Marmara. The outer wall is low, designed to slow attackers. Behind it, a wide terrace. Then the inner wall, 12 meters high, 5 meters thick, punctuated by 96 towers. Behind that, another terrace. Then the main wall, the great barrier that has turned back Persians, Arabs, Bulgars, Rus, and now the Ottomans. But the walls are crumbling. There are gaps where Ottoman cannons have pounded the stone for 7 weeks. The largest cannon, the monster built by the Hungarian engineer Urban, fires stones weighing over 600 kilograms. Each shot shakes the ground like an earthquake. Each impact sends chunks of masonry cascading into the moat below. The sound echoes across the city. Children wake crying. Old women cross themselves and whisper prayers that have been whispered in this city for 1,000 years. The defenders fill the breaches with timber and barrels of earth during the night. They work in darkness, in silence, hauling stones and beams while Ottoman archers fire at shadows. By dawn, the gaps are patched, makeshift, fragile, but standing. Then the sun rises and the cannons begin again. The patches explode into splinters and dust. It is a war of attrition, and Constantinople is losing. The city has perhaps 7,000 defenders. Maybe 8,000 if you count the Genoese sailors who stayed when their ships could have left, when the smart money sailed west and never looked back. Against them, 80,000 Ottoman soldiers, plus irregulars, camp followers, engineers, sappers, and the Sultan's personal guard, the Janissaries, 12,000 strong, the most disciplined fighting force in the world. The mathematics are simple and terrible. But mathematics don't account for desperation. They don't account for men fighting for their families, for their God, for the graves of their fathers. Mathematics don't account for Emperor Constantine XI Palaiologos. Constantine is 48 years old. His face is lined with exhaustion and something deeper, the knowledge that he is the last Constantine, the last emperor of Rome. He has been emperor for 4 years, but he has spent those years watching his empire shrink to a single city, a few islands in the Aegean, and the weight of a name that once meant the world. He inherited an empire that was already a memory. His predecessors sold the crown jewels to pay for food. They melted down church silver to mint coins. They begged the West for help and received only condescension and theological arguments about the nature of Christ. The Pope offered crusaders if the Orthodox Church would submit to Rome. Constantine agreed. What choice did he have? But his people never forgave him for it. They would rather fall to the Turks than kneel to the Pope. That is how deep the schism runs. Tonight, Constantine walks through the city. Not on horseback, not in procession. On foot, quietly with a few loyal men. He speaks to the defenders on the walls. He does not lie to them. He does not promise victory or rescue. He asks only that they remember who they are. Romans. The last Romans. If they must fall, let them fall as Romans have always fallen, fighting. Some of the men weep when they see him. Their emperor, walking among them like a common soldier, his armor dented and repaired a dozen times, his sword plain and functional. He could have fled. Ships offered to take him west. He could be in Italy right now, safe, seeking allies, planning a return that would never come. Instead, he is here. He stops at a section of wall where a young man, barely 20, stands shaking. The young man's bow is unstrung. His hands tremble too much to hold it steady. Constantine says nothing. He simply stands next to him for a moment, looking out at the Ottoman camp, at the thousands of fires spreading like stars across the plain. Then he moves on. The young man strings his bow. He will die tomorrow at that exact spot, an arrow through his throat, but tonight he is steadier. Constantine continues his walk. He passes through neighborhoods that are half abandoned. Entire streets empty, doors hanging open, possessions scattered where people dropped them in their flight toward the center, toward the churches, toward the illusion of safety. Constantinople once held 500,000 people. Now, perhaps 50,000 remain. The rest fled years ago or died in previous sieges, or simply faded away as the empire contracted and the opportunities vanished and the future became something that happened elsewhere. He reaches the Church of the Holy Apostles, where the Byzantine emperors are buried. His ancestors lie here in marble sarcophagi. Constantine the Great, who founded this city, Justinian, who built Hagia Sophia, Basil the Bulgar Slayer, who expanded the empire to its medieval height. Constantine 11 Paleologos kneels before their tombs. He prays. He apologizes. He promises to join them soon. Hagia Sophia is full. The great church, the Church of Holy Wisdom, has stood for 917 years. Its dome is 32 meters in diameter, rising 56 meters above the floor, supported by a complex system of pendentives and buttresses that seem to defy gravity. When Justinian dedicated it in 537, he supposedly said, "Solomon, I have surpassed thee." Medieval chroniclers believed angels held up the dome. Engineers knew better, but even they couldn't fully explain how it worked. Tonight, the church is packed with thousands of people. The nave, the galleries, the aisles, every space filled with bodies. Orthodox and Catholic Christians pray side by side, the schism temporarily forgotten. The Catholics came from Genoa and Venice, sailors and merchants who stayed when they could have left. The Orthodox despise them theologically but need them militarily. Tonight, none of it matters. Tonight, they are simply Christians, praying in the last Christian city in the East. The church is lit by thousands of candles. The iconostasis, the golden screen separating the nave from the sanctuary, glows like the wall of heaven. The mosaics shimmer in the candlelight. Christ Pantocrator staring down from the dome, his right hand raised in blessing, his left holding the gospel. The Virgin Mary, tender and sorrowful, holding the Christ child. The archangels Michael and Gabriel, their wings spread, their faces serene and terrible. Saints and apostles and martyrs, their eyes wide and dark, staring down at the people who pray beneath them. The smell is incense and sweat and fear and old stone. Frankincense and myrrh, imported at great cost, burned in silver censers. Unwashed bodies pressed together. Candle wax melting, the scent sweet and cloying. And underneath it all, the smell of the building itself, 900 years of prayer soaked into marble and brick. A choir chants the liturgy. The sound echoes off the marble and the dome, filling the space with layered, otherworldly music. The Byzantine chant is not harmonious in the Western sense. It is modal, ancient, built on scales that predate medieval music theory. It sounds like something from another world, or from a very old one. The chanters are hoarse. They have been singing for hours. They will sing until dawn or until the walls fall, whichever comes first. People are confessing sins. Not to priests in confessionals. There is no time, no space, no privacy. They confess aloud, in whispers, in groups. They confess to each other. Entire lives unraveled in rushed sentences. A merchant admits he cheated his partner. A mother admits she loved one child more than the others. A soldier admits he once fled from battle. The words pour out in a torrent because tomorrow there may be no one left to absolve them, No one left to remember them, no one left to care. Some believe in a prophecy. It is old, this prophecy, older than the siege, older than the Ottomans. It says that when Constantinople is about to fall, when the enemy reaches the column of Constantine in the Forum, an angel will descend from heaven with a sword and drive the invaders back. The prophecy has been repeated for centuries. It has survived every siege, every crisis, every moment when the city seemed doomed. People believe it because the alternative is unbearable. A woman kneels near the front, her hands pressed together so hard her knuckles are white. Her lips move in constant prayer. She is praying for her husband, who is on the walls. She is praying for her sons, who are on the walls. She is praying for the angel. She is praying for deliverance. She has been praying for 53 days. Her voice is gone. She prays in silence now, the words shaped by her lips but making no sound. An old man sits in a corner, too tired to kneel. He remembers when the city was different. He is 83 years old. He remembers when the markets were full, when ships from every corner of the world docked in the harbors, when the streets rang with a dozen languages and the future seemed as solid as the Theodosian walls. He has watched the city die slowly, piece by piece, and tonight he will watch it die quickly. He is not praying. He is simply waiting. Outside, the night deepens. The temperature drops. May in Constantinople is warm during the day, cool at night. The defenders on the walls huddle in their cloaks, trying to stay warm, trying to stay awake. They have been on the walls for 53 days, rotating in shifts that grow longer as their numbers dwindle. Some sleep standing up, leaning against the stone, swords still in their hands. Others pace, knowing that if they sit they will not rise again. A Genoese soldier named Giovanni Giustiniani Longo commands the defense at the most critical section, the Lycus Valley, where the land dips and the walls are lowest, where the Ottoman cannons have focused their fire, where the breach is widest. Giustiniani is a condottiero, a mercenary captain hired by Constantine to lead the defense. He brought 700 men with him, professional soldiers, well-armed, experienced. They have been the backbone of the defense. Without them, the city would have fallen weeks ago. Giustiniani is in his 40s, tall, broad-shouldered, with a scar running from his left eye to his jaw. He is wounded, an arrow through the shoulder 2 weeks ago. The wound is infected. It smells bad. He ignores it. He has fought in a dozen wars. He knows what infected wounds lead to, but he also knows that tomorrow the wound won't matter. He walks the wall, checking defenses, speaking quietly to the men. He does not give speeches. He does not talk about glory or God or dying well. He simply shows them that he is still here, still standing, still ready. That is enough. The men would follow him into hell if he asked. Tomorrow he will. Near midnight, Giustiniani stops at a section of wall where a group of Venetian sailors are stationed. These men are not soldiers. They are sailors whose ships fled weeks ago, leaving them behind, by accident or design, no one is sure. They have learned to fight on land. They are good at it. Desperation makes fast learners. One of them, a young man with red hair and a burn scar on his hand, asks Giustiniani a question. Do you think we'll hold? Giustiniani looks at him for a long moment. Then he says, we'll hold until we don't. Then we'll fight anyway. The young man nods. It is the only answer that makes sense. In the Blacherny Palace, in the far northwest corner of the city where the land walls meet the Golden Horn, Constantine finishes his rounds. He removes his armor with the help of a servant, an old man who has served the imperial family for 40 years. The servant's hands shake as he unbuckles the straps. He is weeping silently. Constantine pretends not to notice. Constantine washes his face in a basin of cold water. The water is brown. There is no clean water left in the city. The wells are running dry, and the Ottomans control the aqueducts. He drinks a little wine, eats a piece of bread that is more sawdust than wheat. He does not taste it. He sits at a desk and looks at a map of the city. It is an old map, made decades ago when the empire was larger. Most of the territories shown on the map no longer exist. He traces the walls with his finger, lingering on the breaches, on the weak points. He knows where the assault will come. Everyone knows. The Lycus Valley. That is where Mehmed will throw everything he has. Constantine writes no letters. There is no one to send them to. His brothers are far away, ruling scraps of territory in the Peloponnese. They cannot help. The West will not help. He is alone, and he has known this for years. He prays. Not in the palace chapel, not formally. He simply kneels beside his bed and speaks to God the way a man speaks to a friend he is not sure is listening. He asks for strength. He asks for mercy for his people. He does not ask to be saved. He knows better. He lies down but does not sleep. He listens to the sounds of the city, the distant chanting from Hagia Sophia, the occasional shout from the walls, the howl of dogs. Half the dogs in the city have gone feral, packs of them roaming the empty streets. And underneath it all, a sound that has not stopped for hours, drums. The Ottoman camp is drumming. It is a psychological weapon, a way to ensure the defenders cannot rest, cannot think, cannot do anything but listen to the steady, relentless beat that says, "We are here. We are coming. We will not stop." Constantine closes his eyes. Perhaps he sleeps for an hour. Perhaps not. The Ottoman camp is 3 miles of tents, fires, banners, and organized chaos. 80,000 men preparing for battle. Smiths sharpen weapons. Archers check bowstrings. Sappers prepare explosives. Imams lead prayers. The Janissaries sit in disciplined rows, silent, cleaning their weapons with the calm of men who have done this many times before. Sultan Mehmed II is 21 years old. He is short, stocky, with a hooked nose and intense dark eyes. He speaks Turkish, Arabic, Persian, Greek, and some Latin. He reads philosophy and history. He has studied the sieges of Alexander, Caesar, and his own great-grandfather Bayezid. He knows what has been tried before. He knows what failed. He has spent 7 weeks on this siege and a fortune in gold. He hired Urban, the Hungarian engineer, to build the cannons. He paid Genoese merchants to stay neutral. He assembled the largest army the Ottoman Empire has ever fielded. He has done all of this because Constantinople is more than a city. It is a symbol. It is the last piece of Rome, the last obstacle between the Ottoman Empire and legitimacy as a world power. Take Constantinople, and the Ottomans become the inheritors of Rome, the masters of the Eastern Mediterranean, the power that will shape the next century. Fail, and Mehmed will be remembered as just another sultan who tried and fell short. His father, Murad II, conquered vast territories but never took Constantinople. Mehmed will not fail where his father failed. He cannot. Tonight, he walks through the camp with his viziers and generals. He inspects the cannons one last time. Urban's monster, the great bombard, 27 feet long, cast in bronze, requiring 60 oxen to move, sits silent now, its barrel still hot from the day's firing. Tomorrow it will fire again, until its barrel cracks or the walls fall. Mehmed stops at the Janissary camp. These are his personal guard, his elite. They were taken as boys from Christian families. The Devshirm system, the blood tax, converted to Islam, trained from childhood to fight and die for the Sultan. They are forbidden to marry, forbidden to own property, forbidden any loyalty except to the Sultan. They are the best soldiers in the world. Their commander, a man named Hassan, bows. Mehmed asks him a simple question, "Are you ready?" Hassan answers without hesitation, "We are always ready." Mehmed nods. He knows it is true. The Janissaries have never failed him. They will not fail tomorrow. He returns to his tent. He prays the night prayers, the long prostrations and recitations that center him, that remind him he is doing God's work. He believes this. He believes he is destined to take Constantinople, that Allah has chosen him for this moment. He is 21, and he has the certainty of youth, the kind of certainty that moves armies and topples empires. He lies down on a carpet. He sleeps deeply and dreamlessly. He will need his strength. Around 3 in the morning, the sound changes. The drumming intensifies. Horns blow, long, mournful notes that carry across the dark. Torches are lit by the thousands. The entire Ottoman camp ignites with light. 80,000 men begin to chant, to pray, to sing. The sound is immense, a wall of noise that rolls across the plain and crashes against the walls of Constantinople like a wave. On the walls, the defenders hear it. They know what it means. They grip their weapons tighter. They whisper prayers. They look at each other in the torchlight. These men who have fought together for 53 days, who have shared bread and wine in terror, and they nod. There is nothing to say. They will stand together or die together. There is no third option. Giustiniani stands at the Lycus breach. He has not slept. He is beyond sleep, running on will and wine and the infected wound that burns in his shoulder. He draws his sword and plants it point down in the earth. He places his hands on the hilt and bows his head. He is praying, but not in words. It is the prayer of a man who has run out of words, who can only stand and wait for what comes. The first light of dawn is perhaps an hour away. The sky to the east is still black, but there is a sense of the night thinning, of the darkness preparing to retreat. It is the hour when humans are weakest, when body and spirit are at their lowest ebb. It is the perfect time to attack. The Ottoman drums reach a crescendo. Then they stop. The silence is somehow worse than the noise. For 30 seconds, maybe a minute, there is nothing. Just the crackle of torches and the breathing of 80,000 men. Then the horns blow again, and the assault begins. The first wave is the Bashibazuks, irregulars, volunteers, adventurers, criminals promised plunder and paradise. They are poorly armed, barely trained, expendable. They are sent to die so the real soldiers won't have to. They know this. Some run anyway, screaming, desperate for glory or gold or the virgins of paradise. Others stumble forward reluctantly, driven by officers with whips and swords. They swarm toward the walls carrying ladders, grappling hooks, crude shields. They cross the moat on planks and debris. They reach the base of the outer wall and begin to climb. The defenders rain death on them. Arrows, crossbow bolts, stones, pots of Greek fire that burst into flames on impact. Men scream as they burn. The smell of burning flesh drifts up to the walls. Some defenders vomit. Others keep shooting, their faces blank, their movements automatic. They have been doing this for 53 days. Horror becomes routine when it is daily. The irregulars die by the hundreds. They die in the moat, on the ladders, at the base of the walls. Some reach the top and are cut down immediately. A few breach the outer wall and are slaughtered on the terrace. None reach the inner wall. It is a massacre, deliberate and necessary. Mehmed is spending lives like coins, purchasing exhaustion. It works. After 2 hours, the Bashibazuks are pulled back. The defenders sag against the walls, gasping. Their arrows are half gone. Their arms ache from drawing bowstrings. They are killing men who are barely soldiers, and it feels like murder, and they hate it, and they will hate themselves for it if they survive, which they won't. The sun rises. It is May 29, 1453. The last day of the Roman Empire. The walls are carpeted with bodies. Crows are already circling. The second wave comes with the full light of dawn. The Anatolian regulars, 20,000 of them, disciplined, armored, experienced. They come in formation, shields locked, ladders positioned efficiently. They do not scream. They march. They reach the walls and begin to climb. Hand-to-hand fighting breaks out along the length of the defenses. Swords clash. Axes bite into shields. Spears thrust into gaps between armor plates. Men fall from ladders. Men fall from the walls. The defenders are tired, but they fight with the strength of desperation. This is their city. Their families are behind these walls. Giustiniani is everywhere. He appears at weak points, rallies the men, swings his sword with the mechanical precision of a man who has been killing for 30 years. His wound reopens. Blood soaks through his bandage, through his shirt, drips onto the stone. He ignores it. A ladder slams against the wall next to him. 3 Ottoman soldiers climb up. Giustiniani kills the first with a sword thrust to the throat. The second he shoves off the ladder. The man falls screaming. The third reaches the top. They fight, trading blows, until Giustiniani grabs the man's shield and yanks him forward, off balance, and drives his sword into the gap between breastplate and helmet. The man falls. Giustiniani is bleeding heavily now. One of his men tries to pull him back. He shoves the man away and keeps fighting. Then the cannon fires. Urban's great bombard, repositioned overnight, aimed at the breach where Giustiniani stands. The stone projectile is 600 kilograms of granite moving at terminal velocity. It hits the wall 20 meters from Giustiniani. The impact is catastrophic. The wall doesn't just crack, it explodes. Stone fragments fly like shrapnel. Giustiniani is hit. Fragments of stone and metal tear through his armor, into his chest, his arm, his side. He falls. His men catch him. Blood is everywhere. The wound is terrible. He is conscious, but his breathing is wrong, shallow, rattling. He asks to be taken off the wall. Just for a few minutes. Just to have the wounds dressed. His men carry him down, through the inner gates, toward the rear. It is a reasonable request. A wounded commander needs medical attention. But when the defenders see Giustiniani being carried away, their best commander, the man who has held the line for 53 days, they panic. He is leaving. He is abandoning them. He is dying. The line wavers. Constantine sees it happening. He is 200 meters away when he sees men starting to pull back from the breach. He rides toward them, shouting, trying to restore order. He reaches the breach and dismounts. He grabs a spear from a dead man and plants himself in the line. The emperor is fighting with common soldiers. He is supposed to be commanding from a distance, protected, preserved. Instead, he is here, his armor dented, his sword bloody, standing in the breach like an ordinary man. Some of the defenders rally. They return to the wall. They fight. But there are too few of them, and they are too tired, and the Ottomans keep coming. The Anatolian regulars pull back after an hour of brutal fighting. The defenders have held. Barely. They are at the edge of collapse. Some are weeping from exhaustion. Some are praying. Some simply stare at nothing, their minds shutting down. Then the drums begin again. The third wave is coming. The Janissaries. They advance in perfect formation. 12,000 of them, wearing their distinctive white felt caps, carrying the best weapons, the best armor. They do not rush. They do not hesitate. They move like a machine, relentless and terrifying. They reach the walls. They do not stop. They flow up the ladders like water, and when they reach the top, they do not falter. They are the best soldiers in the world, and they prove it. The defenders break. Not everywhere. Not all at once. But in enough places. Men flee. Men die. Men throw down their weapons and run. Near the Lycus breach, a small gate, the Kirkoporta, has been left unlocked. No one knows why. Accident, exhaustion, treachery. 50 Janissaries find it. They pour through. Ottoman soldiers inside the walls. That is the image that destroys the defense. The walls have been breached from within. Panic spreads. Men abandon their posts. The line collapses. Constantine sees it. He knows it is over. He does one final thing. He removes his imperial insignia, the purple cloak, the golden eagles, the symbols that mark him as emperor. He does not want to be captured, paraded through the streets of Constantinople in chains, ransomed or displayed as a trophy. He will not give Mehmed that satisfaction. He turns to the few men still with him and says something. History does not record what he says. Perhaps, follow me. Perhaps, this is where we die. Perhaps nothing at all. He charges into the breach, into the mass of Janissaries, sword raised. A handful of men follow him. They disappear into the chaos of battle. Swords clash. Men fall. In the press of bodies and blades and dying, Constantine XI Palaiologos, the last Roman emperor, dies. No one sees exactly how. No one recovers his body. He simply vanishes into the mass of battle, becoming legend the moment he ceases to be a man. The city falls. By mid-morning, Ottoman flags fly from the Theodosian walls. Janissaries pour through the streets. The 3 days of looting begin, the customary rite of a conquering army. Houses are broken into. Churches are stripped. Men are killed. Women and children are enslaved. The streets run with blood and echo with screams. The Hagia Sophia, packed with refugees who believe the angel would come, is breached. The doors are smashed open. Soldiers rush in. The people inside scream, pray, beg. It does no good. The looters take everything: gold leaf from the iconostasis, silver from the altar, vestments, icons, reliquaries. They tear down the silk hangings. They pry gems from mosaics. The people are chained. Families are separated. Children are torn from their mothers. They are marched out of the church, out of the city, toward the slave markets. Some will be ransomed. Most will not. The woman who prayed for her husband and sons is among them. She will never see them again. The old man who sat in the corner dies in the chaos. No one notices. His body is trampled and forgotten. By afternoon, Mehmed enters the city. He rides slowly through the streets on a white horse, taking it in. His army parts before him. He looks at the buildings, the churches, the ruins. He has won. At 21, he has accomplished what his father could not, what sultans before him could only dream of. He rides to Hagia Sophia. He dismounts and walks through the great church alone. He looks up at the dome, at the mosaics of Christ and the Virgin. He is a conqueror, but he is also an aesthete, a scholar. He appreciates what he has won. He stops a soldier from smashing a mosaic and orders the looting to cease immediately. The customary 3 days are reduced to 1. He declares that Hagia Sophia will become a mosque, but the building will be preserved. The mosaics will be covered with plaster, not destroyed, just hidden. The structure will remain. He understands what Constantinople represents. He wants to inherit it, not erase it. He summons the Patriarch of Constantinople and promises that Christians will be allowed to worship. He will rule as a sultan, but also as a Roman emperor. He will take the title Kaisar-i Rum, Caesar of Rome. The Ottoman Empire will become the Third Rome, the inheritor of Constantine and Justinian. Constantinople becomes Istanbul. The center of gravity in the Mediterranean shifts. The medieval world ends. The Renaissance, already flowering in Italy, accelerates as Greek scholars flee west with their manuscripts. They carry Plato, Aristotle, Euclid, Homer, texts that will transform Western thought. But on the night of May 28, 1453, none of this has happened yet. The walls still stand. The candles still burn in Hagia Sophia. The emperor still lives. The choir still sings. And for a few more hours, Constantinople endures. This is what endings look like. Not sudden, not clean. Slow. Exhausted. A long siege, a final assault, a gate left open by accident, a commander wounded at the wrong moment, a line that wavers at the worst possible time. History turns on small things. A locked gate that should have been unlocked. An exhausted sentry who fell asleep. A piece of shrapnel that hit the right man at the wrong moment. Constantinople fell because it was alone. The West did not come. Venice sent a few ships. Genoa sent a few hundred men. The Pope called for a crusade that never materialized. The city that had stood for 1123 years, that had preserved Roman law and Greek philosophy and Christian theology through centuries when the West forgot how to read, fell because no one came to help. But what it preserved did not die. The manuscripts survived. The scholars survived. They fled west and brought with them the texts that sparked the Renaissance. The Roman legal codes that still influence every Western legal system. The architectural principles that inspired every dome built after. The memory of what was possible, of what humans could build when they believed in something larger than themselves. Constantinople is gone. Istanbul remains. The Hagia Sophia still stands, its mosaics uncovered again after centuries. You can visit. You can stand under that impossible dome and look up and imagine the night of May 28, 1453, when thousands of people stood there and prayed for deliverance that never came. This is history. Not myths. Not legends. Real people, real decisions, real consequences. A city that lasted over 1,000 years. An emperor who died fighting rather than flee. A siege that ground on for 53 days until exhaustion did what cannons could not. And a night, one single night, when the world held its breath and waited for dawn. If you want more stories like this, stories that take you inside the moments that shaped our world, subscribe to Chronos. Hit the bell. Leave a comment telling us what you want to see next. Because history isn't just dates and battles. It's people. It's choices. It's the moment when everything changes and nothing will ever be the same. Hit that like button if the story moved you. Share it with someone who needs to understand what it means to stand for something even when the odds are impossible. Because that's what Constantinople did. For 1100 years, it stood. And when it fell fighting. This is Chronos. We don't just tell history, we take you there. Until next time, remember that empires rise, empires fall, but the stories endure forever.